Welcome to the Writing a Resume workshop with Santa Barbara City College's Career Center. We hope you'll find this video helpful, whether you're creating a new resume, updating an existing one, or wanting to have a final review before turning it into an employer. This video will provide some basic tips for how to write your resume. And of course, if you need more help, you can get assistance from the Career Center's career counselors. And at the end of the video, there will be instructions for how to make an appointment with a career counselor if you're interested. Let's talk about your resume. Basically, it's an overview of your education and your relevant activities and demonstrated skills and accomplishments so that you can get that job that you want. There are very few rules really for a resume. It's rather subjective for how you create it. But there is one thing that you must do, and that is you must tell the truth. So make sure that your resume and everything that is on it is an accurate reflection of you. When you are creating a resume, it's a good idea to look at it from the perspective of the employer. So while you're writing it, you can create your resume as if you were the employer. What would that employer want to see? It's also a good idea to tailor your resume to each position or organization. And there are a couple ways you can do that, and we'll talk about that later. But one way you can do that is you can match your skills and qualifications to some of the requirements or preferred requirements and keywords on the job description that you're looking at. Some basics about formatting. Here's an example that you can see here of what a resume could look like. You want to think about what and how you include so that it has an impact. You want it easy to read, neat and organized, and you want to prioritize the information in order of interest to your reader. So for example, we read from left to right and top to bottom. So you want to think about where you're placing your text on your document. We're going to be going over different parts of a resume, and we'll start here with the contact information. When you have your name at the top, you want to make sure that it stands out. You can make it stand out by being bold or having a larger font than the rest of the document. You want it to pop. In the address section, use a local address if you have one, and if it's reliable and current. Now, some people don't like to put the street address in the contact information. That's fine, but at least have the city and the state and the zip code. And you'll want to, of course, have your phone number and your email on there. For your phone number, make sure that you set up a professional phone greeting, and also make sure that your mailbox is not full. You want an employer to be able to leave you a message. For an email address, make sure it's a professional looking email address and not something like lazyboybob at whatever. If you don't already have an email address that is maybe consists of your name and then, an at URL like Yahoo or Gmail, you might want to consider creating a new one. And also make sure that for your phone and your email, that those are going to be checked on a regular basis. We recommend a font of 11 or 12 size, not smaller than 10, and make sure that whatever font you choose, that it's easy to read. Times New Roman is a very common font. You can include an objective statement in your resume. Here's an example of how not to write one, and then compared to some good ones. Let's read the first one. I want a job with a company who will allow me to grow and gain experience. We don't want an objective like that because that's all about you. The objective is about bringing something to a company of value to them. So here are a couple of good examples. Seeking an engineering position with Raytheon, where I can utilize my ability to analyze and evaluate data. Or you can just put simply seeking an engineering position with Raytheon. That way, the employer knows what job you're applying for, and it's personalized because you have the company name on there. And instead of engineering position, for example, you could just put the job title there too, and that personalizes it. Another section is your summary of qualifications. This is a great place to have visible what your skills are, easy to read, that relate to the job or jobs that you're applying for. So you're going to summarize your key strengths and also include maybe up to 6 items. 3 to 6 items is a good number to have. And it's really nice to have it in a format that's easy to read. And here the example has it in bullet points. And you want to tailor your qualifications to the position. So say, for example, the job you're looking at either requires or has a preferred requirement of more than one language, then you want to list if you're bilingual. Or maybe they have some computer software they want you to know, you can list the computer software there. Another section is your education. Here's an example of how you might write your education for Santa Barbara City College. Note where it says Santa Barbara City College, Santa Barbara, California, that even though we have Santa Barbara in the name of the school, you do want to include the geographic location, even if it's the same. And underneath that, you're going to list your major or certificate or whatever it is that you're trying to earn while you're at Santa Barbara City College. And if you haven't graduated already, you can add your expected date of graduation. Here too, if you're planning on transferring, you could add expected transfer to, for your university, and you could put a date on there too. If you have a great GPA, you're on the honor roll, you can add that here. And then you can also add related coursework. So you can see here they have Introduction to Accounting, etc. Now, if you took Accounting 101, you wouldn't put Accounting 101 because somebody outside the school might not know what that is. You actually want to put the name of the class that you had. You can also have projects. So if you have some projects that you think would be helpful for an employer to know that you had done related to the job or jobs that you're applying for, you can add that in this section as well. And you can see here that this business admin student did a survey of local CEOs and then presented a report. In the experience section, you're going to be listing your work history, and you go from the most current to the oldest. Really important for the work experience section, and actually on your entire resume, is that it look consistent. So however you set up your work experience section here on your first job, you want it to have the exact same formatting as the other jobs that you list. And it would be important to include your job title, where you worked, so the name of the organization or company, the city and the state, and the dates that you work there. If you're current, you can put the date that you started and then hyphen present or current because you don't have an end date yet. In the work experience section, underneath where you list your company name, you're going to add bullet points of your accomplishments and responsibilities. Now, if your job title isn't descriptive of what you actually did, say, for example, you have an on-campus job and you're a student worker too, but in essence, you were a graphics lab assistant, then you would just add graphics lab assistant. How would you describe your work experience? Here are some tips for writing your work experience section. 1, focus on your accomplishments. 2, use some really good, strong action verbs, such as created, managed, coordinated. Now that would be set up in the tense for a previous job. So if you're in a current job, then you would use your action verbs in present tense, such as create, manage, and coordinate. If you can quantify things, that's also great. Say if you met a sales quota, or you had a certain number of clients, or you worked with a team or supervised a team of a certain number of people, you could add that on your resume. Also, this is your time to shine and not be shy. about how great you are. So if in fact you were first, best, or fastest at something, or are in your current job, or got an award, or recognized in some way, you would add it here in your work experience section. And lastly, when you're writing your resume, we recommend students write everything on their first draft. Like, don't overthink it, because it's easier to put everything on and then edit and extract things later. Here's a good experience example. You've got your job title and the name of the company, and underneath it, the geographic location and the date ranges that that person worked as a construction crew assistant. And then you've got your list of accomplishments or responsibilities below, with some good action words like coordinated and maintained. And they've got some numbers here too. So here, this example could be used as a sample for something that you might put together. Other sections of a resume that you can add would be if you have involvement in the community or on campus in clubs. Maybe you belong to some associations. Another title you could put on your resume, another section could be license and certificates. And some people do ask about creating a reference page or adding references to your resume. We recommend that you don't put references on your resume. Oftentimes you're going to be putting them in your job application, and you can create a separate references sheet that you can bring with you to an interview. And on that references sheet, you could have similar header or the same header as to what you have on your resume, and if you create a cover letter. And you can list there your references, how you know the individuals, their contact information. And it's a good idea also to add their job titles as well. There are different ways that you can format a resume. There's chronological, functional, a combination of the two. If you're interested in looking at some templates, there's a chronological and functional resume template on the Santa Barbara City College Career Center website. And you can see here the location of where that is. So if you go to the main website, not to your pipeline account, but just go to sbcc.edu and you type that in /Career Center, that'll take you to the Career Center web page. And on the menu, the top, there's a plus sign. You can click on resumes and interviews. And here you'll be able to find lots of information about resumes, including the templates that you can use. Another place you can find templates is on Google Docs. So take a look and see which one or ones that you like that you think would work best for the type of job that you are applying for and the amount of text that you have as well. The templates that are on the Career Center website are very easy to use and to format and reformat. The ones on Google Docs are a little bit less forgiving in that regard, but they do look really nice. We recommend that you aim for your resume to be 1 page long. With certain jobs or with certain length of experience or type of experience, that may not be doable, but aim for 1 page. Your font, again, 10 to 12, preferably 11 and 12. And use a business type font or an easy to read font. And your margins, you want to have as close as possible to 1 inch all the way around. In order to have your text noticed on the page, there are certain types of font that you can use, bold or italics or underline. So if you want something to pop out, think about how you might use those. If you do use underline, don't use it too much because you don't want your document to look too cluttered. Basically, you want your resume to be neat and professional, easy to read, and absolutely no typographical errors. And this is where you can find somebody, family or friend, who is good at editing, or of course, any career counselors can help you take a look and make sure that you don't have any errors on your document. So in conclusion, Do emphasize your name at the top, have a consistent format, quantify things if you can. Definitely match some of the keywords to the job posting. And lastly, tell the truth. The things that you don't want to do are to use the word I, because we're not writing in complete sentences on this document. These are phrases. They're succinct, easy to read, and quick to read. We don't want to use graphics or colors or photos in general. That's a rule. Sometimes you'll see templates with colors on them, and if you do use a color, they do look pretty, but you want to think about if somebody is printing out a resume, if you have a light color on your document, it might not be very easy to read. So those are just some things to think about. And then, of course, you don't want any spelling or grammar errors, or as we said, typographical errors. So our last slide here is how to book an appointment with a career counselor on Starfish. If you have any questions about your resume or want any help at any stage, career counselors are standing by ready to help. And we encourage you to take advantage of this free service. If you go to your Pipeline account, you can see on the top right there where the red arrow is that you would click on Starfish, and Starfish will take you to making a counseling appointment with a career counselor. Thanks for joining this workshop. We hope to hear from you soon.